Hey guys, it's Eugenia Kuzmina from Bad Moms, The New Girl, and Upcoming Tough Guys with Guy Ritchie, and I'm here with amazing Vanessa from Bamo Radio. So stay tuned.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Vamo Radio. I have a very special guest with me today, legendary R&B icon Lenny Williams. Hey, Lenny, how are you?
I am doing good. How you doing?
I'm amazing. I'm actually really glad to be having this interview with you, especially that you have a new single out called Something Girl. But before we get into that, if we could give a little bit more about your background in the music industry, which is amazing. Talking about how you were the former leader of Tower Power. Can you kind of explain a little bit about how did that go as well as a group? You guys pretty much dominated a lot of the charts and did a lot of great music in the 70s. And right now you're still making new music now. But can you kind of tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean the '70s was a fun time. You wasn't around, I know that, right? Yeah, and but we had a lot of fun in the '70s. A lot of bands and things of that nature, and writing songs. It was real special. You could write a song, on Monday, and Wednesday you'd be in the studio recording it, and then just putting it out, and then traveling all around. Just very fortunate to have a hit record that went number one, and so very hard to go was that song. And so it was just a super exciting time. It was a multi-racial band, very diverse, and so that was kind of different for that day. Even I guess even now it's kind of different. You don't see too much of that, and
Yeah.
so that by it being an anomaly like that, kind of brought a lot of attention to us. Plus, people look at you, then it's like, okay, we got some good music though, yeah, right, and so that kind of helped put us over the top.
Absolutely. And of course, you guys singles that you guys had out, which has, I mean, blown everyone away. Like "Cause I Love You," of course, is something that still ranges today that people love. I still hear all the time.
When of
Who else
course I
we
Love
had?
You wasn't with Tower Power though. That was by me by myself after I left
Yeah,
Tower
you're
Power.
solo. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
right.
solo.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And but you also guys had "So Very Hard to Go," which was an amazing hit as well.
Yes, right.
So
Yeah.
definitely, absolutely. Can you kind of tell me like a little bit about the process, especially for "Cause I Love You"? I know that was your solo single. But
Mhm.
can you kind of tell us the process of you writing it, like before it blew up and before everyone heard it, like it was just you in the
Yeah.
studio writing it, creating it, producing it. How's the
Mhm.
process going?
Well, I worked up with a good friend of mine named Michael Bennett. And I actually met him through his dad because his dad's a carpenter and was working on my house and kept telling me, "Oh, my son is all the baddest thing since ice cream." I was like, "Oh man, I hear that all the time. Everybody love their kids, right?" And so
Yeah.
he just kept after me every day. So then finally, I met his son, and his son Michael was, I mean, very talented. And but we would be talking about writing and the writing process, and he would say, "Well, I have to be inspired to write." And I was saying,
Mhm.
"Over at Motown, those guys just go there every day, and they go in a room, punch a clock, and they sit there and write for 8 hours a day, you know." And
Absolutely.
I said, "So, Barry Gordy, wanted to hire you. Would you tell him, hey, I got to be inspired, or would you, He said, no, I take the gig." And so I kind of talked him into, accepting, buying into that process, and then. One day he came by to write with me in our usual writing session, and I told him I didn't really feel like it. And he was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, me and my girl kind of got into it." And he was like, "You tell Barry Gordy that?" And I was like, "No." He kind of threw it back on me, and so we sat down at the piano, and he said, "Let's write about what was going on." And we wrote "Cause I Love You." Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, that's amazing. I
Mhm.
mean, especially for it to have blown up like that and it would be such an intimate story between you and another person. That is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. And of course, your song Southern Girl that you just came out with, which is crazy beautiful. Your vocals have always been like on top of the scene. So can you kind of tell us about the song now and what inspired the song?
Well, I was hanging out with some people, and then I went over to the studio with them, and this guy Levi Caesar was the it was at his studio, and I knew his family, but I didn't really know him that well. I used to see him when he was kind of young, like a kid, and so I introduced myself to him, and we just started talking. He used to play. He played with Prince in the New Power Generation band. He played the guitar and he played the
Wow.
bass in that band, right? And so he played with Prince for like 14 years. And so I was like, I really like the way you produce. And he's like, I'd like to work with you. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to work with you too. And so we set a day, we're going to do some songwriting. So I go to his studio and he says, well, I'd like to interview you first. And so he interviewed me for a couple of hours and got my whole life story and everything. And then he said, well, let's get together, 3 days from now. So I came back over and then he says, you've been married for 40 something years. All your kids are grown. They all went to college and they're doing good. And you own 6, 7 houses and you own your own
Mhm.
publishing and all this other kind of stuff. He said, uh, oh, we're talking, oh, never mind. I'm telling you about another song we did called Fine. But anyway, him and I was hanging out. He said, you're doing good. I'll connect the story, right? So then he said, and I noticed that you're always down south doing
Mhm.
shows. And he says, what is it that you like about the South? And I said, well, I like the cooking, I like the people, but most of all, I
Mhm.
like those Southern girls, right? Yeah, I said, we go to HBCUs and, they be out there,
Mhm.
they look good, they're intelligent, getting those degrees and everything, starting their own businesses and stuff. And I said, so the Southern women really kind of intrigued me. And so we wrote that song.
Wow, absolutely. And of course, like your vocals are just outstanding on it. I already took listen to it and it's airing on Bama Radio now on our station. So it's amazing. People are loving it, people are vibing with it. So you can kind of tell us a little more about your background, about how you got into music, your career. Like what exactly started you being inspired to start creating music on your own?
Okay, yeah. So um, I don't know, I started creating music. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I loved music. My mom tells a story about how when I was like about a year and a half, old, I learned how to say the Lord's Prayer, right? And so she invited some of the older church ladies over and say, "Oh, Leonard Charles know how to say his prayer." So they all around, and I said, "Our Father," and I threw my hands up in the air and said, "Hey, Baba Rebop," which was a hit song at that time. And so I've always been involved in music and learned how to play the trumpet and read music like in the fourth grade. And so just and as time progressed, just writing songs, writing with different people, and then just decided to get a studio in the house, would make it easier to to if I get an idea late at night or whatever, I can come in here and grab a guitar, get on the keyboard or something, and and belt it out.
Absolutely. And of course, Lenny, right now, we know that the world is actually kind of put on this hiatus with COVID-19, the serious situation of people losing their lives and their loved ones right now. But I also know that it has put sort of a stop on the music industry as well, like where people cannot go out and perform as much as they want to, or can't have like big gatherings or anything. So you kind of tell me, is there anything right now that you're working on right now? I know you have your new song, Southern Girl now, but is there anything you're working on right now that we can look forward to?
Yeah, I'm working with Levi on some more songs. I've also been working with DOA, Derek Allen, who just produced Kim's last album, and
Mm.
the artist Kim. And so we're working on some songs. And then I hooked up with some youngsters out of Houston, Texas, and they sent me a song. I'm like, oh, okay, so I think I'm gonna be taking a trip down to Houston, doing some songwriting with them pretty soon. Just and then today, one of my friends called me. He's from Ohio, and he's like, "Hey, remember, such and such and such." I was like, "I heard of him." He's like, "Yeah, he played with Al Green for about 28 years, and he's got this song, and he played it for me." And he said, "I asked him, was you gonna do that song?" He said, "No, I think this is kind of like a Lenny Williams type song." He said, "I know Lenny," and so he, called me and they sent me the song. I'm like, "Oh man, this is sounding pretty damn good." So it's just always something happening. People writing songs, I'm writing songs, and just trying to keep it moving.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Lenny, of course, I know we do have to go, but can you kind of tell us like where can we stay connected with you and where can people check out your new single Southern Girl?
Well, I'm on all the platforms, on Apple, Spotify, Tidal, you name it, we're there. And people can always reach me at lennywilliams.com. I'm also on Twitter at Lenny Williams, and also on Instagram at the real Lenny Williams. And you can even do a smoke signal. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I got that. Yeah, I'm feeling that. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Lenny, I appreciate having you so much on this show. You guys, again, you can visit vamo-radio.com to hear this interview again on our radio station and also on our YouTube channel at Vamo Radio. Thanks so much, Lenny. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too as well. Thank you.